taking a critical look at the gaming news of the week. This is Augmented Reality, presented by the Triple S League.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Augmented Reality Podcast, your source for news, leaks, and analysis about games and the video games industry. It is May 20th, 2020. This is the Wednesday edition of the show. My name is Ash, and I'm here as always with Cybsidian. Lots of topics to talk about today. Lots to get through in a short period of time, so we'll try to be concise, but also go in depth as we always try to do, give you some analysis and insights that you might not get anywhere else about the news of the gaming industry. Some exciting things to talk about, some somewhat controversial things to talk about, and we're glad you're with us. So if you are listening live today, please do say hello in the live chat and send us your comments and questions there as well. We'll read and respond to as many as we can throughout the podcast. And don't forget to slam that like button. It likes it rough, and it tells us and YouTube that you appreciate this content. And if you are listening after the fact on the audio-only platforms, we appreciate your interactions there as well. It does take us some time to get the podcast up to those platforms, so if you want the latest info sooner, subscribe to the Triple S League YouTube channel. You'll find that link in the description of the podcast. And as I always say, the live chat always makes this, it really brings this podcast up to another level. There's a reason we do this live consistently now, because the community and the chat that takes place is really important to us. It's one of the best parts of this show. So also join the Discord server. If you're new, head down to the description, find the link to the Discord server, and join us there. Lots of fun conversations happening all the time. All right. Lots to get to today. Just some of the upcoming topics we're going to be talking about. Tencent is expanding. Ubisoft's terms of service have recently been updated and caused a bit of a stir. And we're going to look at that and why it is bad and why it might not be as bad as some people are interpreting it to be. So we'll get into that. Twitch is doing something interesting with this Safety Advisory Council. So that's a bit of a spicy one. We'll dive into that as well. Plus, we have ID Software sneaking Denuvo anti-cheat onto a recent update for Doom, and we're going to discuss that as well. But first of all, Phantasy Star Online 2 has been announced for release on PC, and it is coming at the end of May.
It's like a week away.
Yeah, May 27th. So a week from today, and it will have cross-platform play with the Xbox One. Now, I know next to nothing about Phantasy Star Online, so you'll have to.
I am so annoyed. I am so annoyed with it. You have no idea how annoyed I am at this. So, first of all...
Do tell us.
First of all, this game came out in 2012. 2012. I have played it a fair bit. I used to play with some Japanese devs that I knew, and they got me an account, and they set it all up. And it was great fun. I couldn't understand a word of anything that was going on. My Japanese is... I mean, at that time was like non-existent. It has since gotten like a little bit better, but it's like I actually have to like sit down and like work it out, and it's nowhere where like out of all the languages, binary robot languages that I speak or that I don't speak, the one human language that I really really wish I could speak, aside from ancient. What's that place that sank in the ocean? That one. Aside from that one, it would probably be Japanese, because it's just it's really cool. So this has been a long time coming, and probably in the MMO universe online, the most common question that's been asked, aside from when are we going to get Alliance side High Elves, has been, when on earth are we going to get Phantasy Star Online 2 in the West? This has been a question that is one of the greatest questions that has ever been asked, and it has been around for a very long time. And a very long time.
Well, I mean, the game initially released in 2012.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's 8 years old. Almost as old
And
as hype for Cyberpunk 2077. Booyah! No,
right.
no, it's sorry, it's older than hype for 2077.
But it's like this is the thing that's been driving like this fan base for this thing for so long. For so long, it's been just begging to be done. And for some odd reason, they had refused and 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 refused until finally Microsoft announced it. I think it was about last year during one of the big convention thingies. They announced it. They said, "Hey, it's coming to the it's coming to the Xbox. It's gonna be great. We're also gonna bring it to PC." But they didn't have a date for the PC. And people have been asking and asking and asking and asking and asking and asking and asking. And then this morning, without any heads up, without anybody hearing any leaks, without anybody, being told, "Oh, hey, heads up, there's going to be a major announcement." They're like, "Oh yeah, no, just by the way, Phantasy Star Online is coming to PC." And everybody's like, "Oh wow, what? Like the fall? New Year, Christmas? When are we getting it? Next week?" And then everybody collectively lost their minds because it's like, wait, what do you mean next week? It's like it's like I've got a really good example.
It's kind of a good way to do things, not draw it out any. I mean, it's been drawn out for 8 years.
True,
now.
But it's kind of like it's kind of. I hope this isn't. I hope this doesn't come off as crass. This is meant as pure comedy, right? But it's like you're dating somebody for like a really long time. It's like you're coming up to like well over a year, or hey, maybe it's like, maybe you just got married and the one person turns to the other person and they're like, "Hey, so the thing, we should do the thing." And the person's like, "Oh no, we have to wait to do the thing." And it's like, "Well, how long do we have to wait to do the thing?" And it's like, and it's like, well, you just keep waiting and waiting and waiting, and it's been months, and everybody's going nuts. And then the person finally asks them, "It's like, when can we do the thing?" And the person turns to the other person, is like, 7 minutes from now. It's like, that's the kind of thing like that this feels like. It's like, oh,
are you speaking from experience? Did this happen to you?
No,
this is
I said this is comedic.
This is a very specific example that you just came up with.
Anyways,
yes, it happened to a friend of yours, I'm sure, right?
This is just the madness that this thing has been. It's like, oh yeah, no fanfare, people have been waiting. I know gamers who have been waiting to cash in months of like vacation time to play this game when it comes out. I know people who literally have been planning to like, put themselves into a bunker with internet and electricity and play this thing for the next like year straight. And all they've been waiting to hear is, when is it coming to the PC? And lo and behold, Microsoft says next week. Like, again, zero heads up,
zero heads up, zero fanfare. That is, I don't know. It's kind of funny, but it's almost like, yeah, what were they waiting for to announce this?
Yeah.
Anyway, what is the culture of this game like at this point? What's the player base looking like? Is it still pretty popular? Is the game getting consistent updates? Like, what are we looking at as far as this MMO goes?
Well, it's gotten 6 major episodes. So I mean, it's been doing like, it's been doing not too bad. It's almost an episode a year, like almost.
So there's like a lot of content. If you're just getting into it now, if you're brand new to it, there's tons of content to do.
Yeah, tons and tons of content, tons and tons of stuff to go through. They have one of the biggest like character libraries of like clothing and costumes ever to exist. And so it's kind of like it's just huge, right? And it's been huge for a long time. Now, as far as the player base goes, like, I don't know. I think most of it's one of these scenarios where it's like most of the player base for this has been waiting on like the player base for this game has been waiting on the PC. Like the player base waiting for this game to show up on the Xbox was virtually zero. Right? So it's virtually doesn't exist as far as like people that are interested in this on the Xbox, but people waiting for this on the PlayStation or on the PC in the West has been huge. The amount of people waiting for this to show up on the PlayStation in the West has also been huge, but that's never going to happen apparently now. So it's really weird.
Do they have some kind of exclusivity deal with Microsoft?
Yeah, for the Western release. The Eastern release, that you can obviously play it in Japan there. So, but it's just for some odd reason it has just never ever come here. So that's the main reason why I want to talk about this, is because this is just so insane. And all of the things leading up to this have been insane. And if you're a person who never really got into like, the Phantasy Star, and you never really get into anime because everything around it seems to, come off as a little insane from time to time. This doesn't help this situation. This doesn't help the perception of this game here. Everybody sits around and goes, "Wow, that's really insane." Huh. Yeah, I think I'm just going to stay away from that, because that's just insane. Like, that's what they're saying. That's what they're feeling. And they're absolutely correct in that now, because this is literally insane. And so it's just so bizarre.
Will you be playing this?
So here's the good news. It is free to play.
How do they monetize it?
Cosmetics, I think.
Oh, okay.
We haven't seen it, so I don't want to like. It was cosmetics before, and I'm sure it's still cosmetics today. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that for the most part, it's definitely not it's not going to be anything but it's obviously just going to come off as very cosmetic heavy. Microsoft has promised that they're not going to charge for power and stuff like that, and so far they haven't on the Xbox, so I have no reason to suspect that they would. So yeah, it's an interesting game, solid gameplay from everything I remember, and from all. I mean, it's been years of updates now, so years and years of updates now. So I imagine that it's probably a lot better than before, and that it's most likely a pretty decent game. And I mean, it's free, so anybody who has who wants to pick it up on the PC, they're free to do so.
All right, next week, May 27th is when that starts. So yeah, interesting story there. All right, moving. Did you have something to wrap that one up with?
I am going to play it. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to play it a lot, and I'm not going to be able to play it. I'm not going to be able to sit down, for 4 hours every X day, because I'm going to be too busy over the next few months, and I'm probably going to be busy right up until obviously up until Cyberpunk drops, and then once Cyberpunk drops, I mean, we're going to be even more busy, right? So this is one of these scenarios where it's like, man, I really wish this had come out like 3 months ago. Like I at this point, I honestly wish it had either come out 3 months ago or wasn't coming out until December or January. It's just I feel that I'm gonna miss this, and this happened with WoW Classic as well, and I really hated that. I really hated that, because I mean that was my thing, right? That was like one of the biggest things that I've ever done. Like I was legitimately famous over there, and missed going back to it. And I really hated that. And I really wish I could have played my heart out on it and streamed it, because it would be kind of cool. I might even have tried something different or whatever. But yeah, it's just that's kind of too bad. And I feel like I'm probably going to end up missing this one too, and that kind of sucks, because it's that initial rush of like everybody like out there doing things, like discovering things, experimenting with stuff, trying new things. It's like that's the funnest part of an MMO, when everybody's like live and you get to meet new people every day, and it's kind of cool. But yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen this time, but I don't know. We'll see.
Unfortunately, time is limited, but
Mm-hmm.
That's part of why we had to have the time change today. Sorry about that. And we will finalize the schedule as soon as we have a more solid idea of what our availability is. But we are still committed to bringing 2 shows per week, 2 of these podcasts per week, and we'll let you know when we can we'll keep an eye on the Discord server for an update on the ongoing schedule for that. All right, so let's talk about the Ubisoft issue. Ubisoft's terms of service for their online services, or for their basically you playing a Ubisoft game, you have to agree to these terms of use, and they were just recently updated. And there was some concern about this because there's a big section devoted to user-generated content that basically grants Ubisoft the right to pretty much do whatever they want with user-generated content that contains, that is uploaded through the Ubisoft services. But there was some language in here that was a little confusing, seemed a little vague. Now, we have gotten some clarification on it, but basically, what they define as user-generated content, they have the rights to use for whatever purpose they want. They can use it in advertising, they can sell it, whatever, they own it. It's basically what it says in here. And that includes if the user-generated content reproduces your image. So, like, say you put your face on a t-shirt that you're creating as a wardrobe item for a game that you can upload to one of their games or something like that. They own that now, and you're relinquishing the right to use that image of your face. That could also apply to if you did a Let's Play of one of their games with a camera, with the face cam, that kind of a thing. So the concern was, does this apply to everything? Does this how widely does this apply? Are they claiming ownership of YouTube videos that feature their content, Twitch streams, things like that? That was basically the concern that was brought up. That seems to be at issue here is that concern. How far reaching does this go? And Upper Echelon Gamers did a video highlighting a lot of this stuff this morning, and I think it's a valid concern. I think it's something to look at. But we did get some clarification. Hogue Law is another YouTube channel that did kind of a response video clarifying some of what's in Ubisoft's terms of service from a legal perspective, and pointed out a couple of things. For example, they use the word services capitalized when they're talking about the user-generated content. And the wording is, in certain services, capital S, you may create, upload, edit, modify, adapt, etc., 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 etc. There's a long list of stuff that they refer to as user-generated content. Now, just taken generally, the word services can refer to literally anything. It could refer to YouTube and Twitch. But because they use that word capitalized, which means it's got a specific definition for this terms of service, for this contract. And they define that earlier in the contract as basically Ubisoft's products. So, in terms of what this actually means legally, and I'm going based off of the opinion of Hogue Law here, and it's a great video. I suggest watching that one. Somebody posted it to our Discord server, but also I believe it was Neon Arcade posted it on a different Discord server that is where I first saw it. Basically, the user-generated content refers specifically to stuff that is uploaded through Ubisoft's services. So whatever that may be, they make a game where you can.
Well, I mean, it it sounds like they're setting up they're preparing to either host or put out some tech, and like you can kind of see this stuff coming, and in this case, like we can kind of really see it now coming when they have this in here. It seems to me, or it sounds like they will be having some kind of like share feature or video feature within their Uplay launcher within couple of months, probably when their next big game goes live, and they will basically introduce a way for the community to make content, because everybody's after that Twitch exposure, that Twitch money, that that kind of stuff. So I think they're going to be introducing, when they say their services, they're going to be introducing a feature that you can basically create and pump out content on that side of things, and that's what we're seeing now, kind of laid for. Is my voice going too low?
There was a momentary thing because I was reloading something. Don't worry about it.
So yeah, it's kind of like we're seeing them set the legal stance now, so that this kind of doesn't, so it can be kind of like refined out and okay by the time they put out the content in the future.
Yeah, like this is very broad language to cover
because
like
it's so broad
anything they might invent in the future. They might invent some magical thing where you can just, think of an idea and it reads your brainwaves and puts that in the game. Well, they're saying they own that, right? Yeah. Like it's so broad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for the most part, like they are. So there's a couple of things here that have set off alarm bells. Now you're going to talk about like what that translates to, but I'm gonna play the pessimist. While it does in some cases, and certainly how they're going to approach it, it certainly comes off as actually a little bit benign once you actually like get into the lawyer speak of it. But to me, it looks like they are trying to capitalize on a few things here, that meaning that like anytime you make content, anytime you make a mod, they have the ability to they basically own that mod. And this is the way that Blizzard went with their thing, and then they ruined that game. They ruined Warcraft with that game. Not only with the very garbage patch and work and shoddy work that they did on it, but they also ruined the environment of that game, because now you play game modes that have been designed from the ground up to be the most racist and the most offensive thing you can find. And that's happened because Activision stepped forward and said, everything you make, it now belongs to us, and we have the legal right to carry those concepts and ideas to to the extreme. If they had done this back when the original concept for League of Legends, which before that it was obviously that Dota. It was kind of like Dota within the Warcraft engine, and then there was some team members that split off and created League. Then there were some other team members that split off and created Dota 2. And these are the people that kind of took those concepts and made a ton of money, to the point now where Riot is now a huge competitor to Blizzard, even though they got their start as a mod in Blizzard's game. Blizzard never wants to have that happen again, and there's a bunch of other companies that also don't want that to ever happen to them. So they're starting to make these broad claims on products. And that's bad. That is honestly bad. That is honestly going to hurt your community, and it's not going to have the desired effect that you want. If you want to, stop the next League of Legends from happening inside your game and taking off, then you need to hire more community managers who get more involved with the people and can help, and then end up like directing or helping the modders create official content, and pay them for it. Like that would be preferable, so it's definitely not going the way that they want. The other biggest problem with this that I don't think he touched on at all is that they have made data mining their game illegal, essentially. And
in the terms of use.
Yes. Yeah, and that's the
Yeah,
one
I
thing
hadn't.
that's the one thing that they didn't really like go into at all, and that is utterly, again, stupid. If you want to make your game, if you want to stifle the community around your game, you make it so that if anybody data mines anything, you can not only can you, like, delete their account and close it, you can also push legal action against them. That's stupid, and it's not going to work. It's going to kill your community. Good job, Ubisoft, for being an absolute piece of stupid fly dung at this point. It's just, I don't understand what these companies think they're doing with this stuff. Oh yeah, we're gonna make it, because there was some
There's
idiot on Twitter talking about how, like, data mining should be illegal because you're destroying the effort of. No, it's just a process of how games work. The company puts out a big patch that has a bunch of content in it. A bunch of the community members rip through the patch, go through stuff, discover things, and for for games that utilize this as part of their community, aka WoW, they have a huge industry built. There's YouTubers and a big drive of their community members who are there just for the data stuff, and it helps their community. It builds it. It's not the pillar, it's just a pillar of their community. Same with their modding, same with their role play group, same with their PvPers, their professional raiders, their normal raiders. Like, it's one of more, it's more pillars around the Coliseum to build it up and make it bigger and make it better. And when Blizzard doesn't want something like that to get out, they just encrypt the thing. And they encrypt it with a really strong encryptor, and nobody can get through it. Well, by the time that it actually comes out and is released. So they could just do something as simple as encrypting their stuff, but instead they're like, no, we'll make it illegal. Like, good job, you absolute fly dung.
well,
You have no intelligence here whatsoever. I can't believe the stupidity of this. It's like, we're
it
going to make
seems
this
bizarre
illegal.
that if that's that they could, like, to make it nullify your terms of service agreement, sure, but then to be able to pursue legal action after the fact seems, I mean, that seems really bizarre. And I haven't
Yeah.
seen the part of the terms of service that you're referencing. I actually hadn't heard anything about this in particular until you just mentioned it just now. But
Yeah.
I mean, I'm inclined to agree. Like,
Yeah,
just
I mean,
it's
as
like when
far
you
as
buy
most, yeah,
it's like you buy an appliance. You can take it apart and look at what's inside if you
well,
want.
it's part of the right to repair concept, like, and there's some really amazing stuff on the whole right to repair. There was a 16-year-old guy who's been repairing iPhones since he was 12, and he made I'm so sorry, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he was in a state legislature giving a statement about this, and he said that um, companies design this stuff to fail, and he can take a washing machine or an iPhone, open it up in like 5 minutes, pop the thing that's causing the problem out, put in a new one, or fix a wire for pennies on the dollar compared to what it would take to ship it back and have it repaired and all this stuff. It's either that or it gets thrown in a landfill. Now, I thought we wanted to keep, landfills from filling up the world, or, garbage going into the ocean. And yet, for some odd reason, some corporations are all like, no, you don't have the right to go through and look at the thing that you bought. Like, wow, just wow, wow. And this is, I mean, some people might say that's a big step. No, I think when you buy a piece of software, you have the right to own that piece of software on your computer. If the company wants something encrypted or protected on a legal ground, they can do that. But I think that you shouldn't get in trouble just because you open the hood and tinker like that. And nor do I really don't think you want to de-incentivize that, because that is what the entire industry is built on. Gamers are built on the concept of people who like to mess around with code or try new things or learn to do different stuff. But for some odd reason, big corporations, more and more and more, and some of these gaming companies are like, no, you can't look under the hood at all. We don't want you to because we ruin stuff. And instead of finding a solution for the things that they're saying, like pushing that AI that I talk so much about. I had another wonderful conversation with a developer this week after our Sunday podcast where we talked about AI quite a bit. And it's like good developers are looking for ways to make the new AI happen. Bad developers are wanting to keep everything in the status quo and making nothing get better. They only want things to stay the way that they are. They don't want to push the new AI. They don't want to push the new resolution graphics. They don't want to do this stuff because it potentially threatens their job. And they don't want to do that, so the bad ones sit around going and say, no, we should just make this stuff illegal, and the good ones are all like, yeah, how can we make this happen faster? Like that's what's happening. And,
bizarre. I don't even know like how even if you tried to make something like that illegal to the point where like it doesn't just void your terms of service, but it would like it could take legal action against you if you mess with the code of software that's installed on your computer. I can't see that standing up in any kind of reasonable court system, but if they're trying that, even if they could do that, how are they planning to enforce that? It doesn't make any sense. But yeah, no, like I think these companies need to realize that the world doesn't operate in the idealistic way that they'd want it to, I guess. And I suppose, I mean, if you really have something proprietary that you don't want people looking at, you got to find a way to just protect that, in a way that it still works all right on the user's computer. I know Nintendo did that with their on the Wii U. You had you could emulate the original Wii, like you could load it into original Wii mode and play your old Wii games on the Wii U, and it had to be online because the code they were using, they wanted that, they didn't want that getting out, I guess, and so it had to be you had to be connected to the internet. So I mean, I wouldn't say that's a good solution as far as being consumer friendly, requiring the always online thing. But that's a solution. So I guess sadly this might push more towards always online stuff, which we're generally against. But anyway, just back to the sort of central thread of that topic. So yes, Ubisoft's terms of use they do have this very, very broad language, and they do basically claim ownership of literally anything that you upload through their services. But it may not be, they may not own your soul as has been, that's sort of been the concern, is that they basically are taking ownership of anything you create. Because I mean, if you think about it, that would mean like if you took a photograph and someone was playing Assassin's Creed in the background, they would own that picture. And like it doesn't apply to stuff like that as far as the legal language, according to Hogue Law, who is a lawyer, and I am not a lawyer, so I'll just put that stipulation out there. If anyone else has a different opinion about how the legal wording is, what it actually would allow them to do, I'd be interested to hear it. Feel free to join our Discord server and strike up a conversation about that. But we've got to move on here. You are listening to the Augmented Reality Podcast. We love seeing everybody so active in the live chat. Speaking of the Discord server, if you want to keep the conversation going after the live broadcast, we welcome you to join our Discord community. There's lots of rooms, lots of people there. You can find the link in the description below. It's a place where you can chat with us and other Triple S community members about all the things we love to talk about. Stay up to date about what we're doing here at the Triple S League. Click the link below to join, and be sure to say hi to us in the welcome channel. All right, so Tencent, the largest gaming company in the world, last time I checked, based in China, not a well-liked company among many people in the gaming community. They seem to have their tendrils into everything. They're closely connected with the Chinese government, and they're expanding. A couple of updates on their activities this week. So there's been 2 announcements. And just like that, I don't have the right tweet open. Basically, they are now in control of the System Shock franchise, and they're going to be carrying that forward. Plus, Scott Warner has announced. Scott Warner, who is a former Ubisoft employee. Don't remember off the top of my head what his role was there, but he's got 20 plus years of experience in the industry. He's worked for a number of companies. Anyway, he announced on Twitter a few days ago that he's moving to a new role as the studio director at a new AAA studio in North America that's owned by Tencent. So Tencent's starting a new studio in North America. They're hiring for all disciplines at all levels, he said. Reach out to me for details. So he's looking to hire people. Is this this is, as far as I know, this is Tencent's first AAA. Is this Tencent's first actual development studio, or just the first one in North America?
It's the first one they've set up in North America. They own many, many studios. I think they own, if your company is public, they have bought into your company in some way, shape, or form.
Well, they own shares in tons and tons of companies.
They own shares in every single gaming company that is a publicly traded company, and they make aggressive moves to control 55 or more % of those companies. In the world of some companies, this is like Riot. This meant that they got completely bought out by them entirely, which was I would say it's a very foolish decision. The fact that Riot's putting out, 3 or 4 new games this year, and they're advertising nonstop, and they're having, generally pretty good success with a couple of games. They're working on Valorant, I think, and some other stuff. It's like, yeah, you guys are doing great. You're owned by the closest approximation to, an evil James Bond villain that I can reasonably say without being melodramatic. I mean, I really have a hard time, getting over, why would you sell your company, everything that you have, everything that you've built? Why would you sell it to somebody who's clearly doesn't have the best interests of a lot of people on the planet's, at heart? Why would you do that? I just don't understand. I just don't understand it. I really don't. And some people could say, whatever. Now, I get why some people they don't want to focus on it. They don't want to hear about it. They don't want to see about it. But it's it happens. It's a bad place. It's a bad country. It's not a bad country because of the people. It's a bad country because of the government. Most governments are bad. That's why you don't want them to have power. You want them to have as limited power as they possibly get. And so I'm trying to dance around some stuff here, but yeah, it's just, I don't understand why these companies do this. And I mean, I personally, I think I really strongly advise people, don't ever play a game that's run by Tencent. Just avoid it. There's other games to play. If a company is owned lock, stock, and barrel by Tencent, avoid them, please. Just please avoid them. There's some games, there's some companies that you can't avoid because they bought into them because they're a public company and they bought 10%, 15, 20% of shares. But they push into that. And until they divorce themselves completely from the Chinese government, the Communist Party, until they completely shutter themselves from that, I mean, I don't support them.
Right.
We've seen what they do to people who just want to speak their mind. They destroy them. Like people disappear all the time. Like, there are journalists who came out and doctors who came out and said, like, warning, warning, everybody, warning, and they disappeared. They vanished, and then they were later announced to be, oh, they passed away. It was really sad. We tried everything.
Right.
Really? Really? You tried everything? I find that hard to believe.
Their connection to the Chinese government is sketchy. That is for darn sure. But I need to address something here because I'm not actually sure what I actually said when I was referencing the System Shock franchise earlier. But it sounds like I said the wrong thing. Scadrill's calling me out in the chat. And so I have the tweets now that I was looking for. So it said the Other Side Games, or Other Side Entertainment Twitter account said, we are happy to announce that Tencent will be taking the System Shock franchise forward. As a smaller indie studio, it has been challenging for us to carry the project on our own. We believe Tencent's deep capabilities and expertise as a leading game company will bring the franchise to new heights. So, Tencent's taking over development, sounds like, not ownership of it. If I said that, I apologize. Was a slip up as I was looking for the correct information.
It's sort of the same. It's sort of the same thing.
Well, I mean, if they're, we don't know what kind of deal they would require.
They're going to be controlling everything.
Well, yeah.
And again, I mean, they make some decent games. Like, you know, they make some decent games. But in those decent games, you will have blatant propaganda for the CCP. Blatant. Like, there's that one children's movie that came out, and there was just a picture of the world in the background, and it happened to include an altered borderline. Like, who does? It's a children's movie, and that borderline is not accurate. Everybody in the world, except for one country, agrees on that. No, that borderline is not that. That is a lie. And again, I mean, I'm sorry to get like political and fierce about this, but I mean,
we know.
It's kind of
it's no secret. I don't think it's even controversial to suggest that yes, there's censorship and things happening to appease China. I don't even think most. I don't even think most reasonable people would dispute that.
It's just the fact that we're talking about it. That's what, like.
Granted,
our listeners are really smart. They know what's going on. Yeah. Everybody knows what's going on, especially with the whole situation that's happened in the last 3 months. Everybody knows what's going on, or at the very least, they're not believing the official, you know, quote unquote, the official tagline created by one CCP. But it's the fact that we're talking about it that's what people get, because they want to come in. They don't want to get, you know, they don't want to hear politics that they hear, you know, all day, right? So that's the only thing.
Fair enough. And we have to move on anyway. There's a lot to get through today. Mm-hmm. So next up, we have the I don't even know how to introduce this. So Twitch has introduced a safety advisory council that is basically a group of people who are going to be advising them on policies, policy updates, safety issues with regard to what happens on Twitch, protecting the interests of some groups. And there's been some controversy specifically surrounding a specific member of this group. And
it's a mess.
Why are we so? I mean, beyond just sort of it. We want to talk about it because it's it's a relevant thing in the news. And Saib, I think there were specifically some specific things you wanted to say about it, but
yeah. So I mean,
it is. I guess this could have some implications for anyone who uses Twitch. So I guess it's kind of a a broad interest topic with regard to that. But why don't you?
Yeah.
I'll let you take it. Why did you want to bring this
So
up today?
so it's because it's a hypocritical thing, and it really disgusts me. I don't know if you tell, I've had a pretty disgustful day the last couple of days. Um, it's really disgusting to hear anybody who looks at penguins who enjoy eating ice cream and say, I really hate those people. They should fear me. I don't care in what scenario you're in. I mean, you can say that about criminals if you're in law enforcement, or if you're a a DA prosecutor, or something like that. I mean, you might be able to say it there. It doesn't come off very well. It really feeds into negative stereotypes, but that might be the only scenario in which I don't look at you and say, "Excuse me? What did you say?" No, 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 no. This is a hard no right here. Like, hard no. You can't walk in and say at a people group who are not, they're a people group because they're the people group that they are, not because it's a people group that they didn't go down to the local membership hall and buy a membership to be part of that people group. They were born that way. You don't get to look at them and say those people should fear me and they're all horrible scum. It's like that is first of all, that's racist. Second of all, that's extraordinarily rude, no matter what it is. Like, everybody's an individual. Everybody, becomes who they are, and you have ways of dealing with that, whether it's through communication. Now, some people have targeted this person because they have a thing that they don't really understand, and they're quote unquote weird, and that has nothing to do with it. It has absolutely nothing to do with it. And the people who doxed this person, because apparently there was some attempt at doxing this person, those people are idiots. Because now you've made it so that we can't have a discussion about the problem that of something that we see. This is why doxing is bad.
It's one reason why doxing.
It's one of many reasons why it's bad.
Yeah.
Because it makes a hero out of somebody who you're trying to have a debate with. And then you can no longer have the debate once you do something mean to them. It's like throwing a punch in a debate. You're in a debate hall, you're having a debate, you're trying to talk about something, you're trying to get to the root of the truth, and somebody runs up on stage and punches the person that they don't like. That doesn't help the situation. That just makes everything worse, and it just it degenerates our society.
Well, and it automatically makes that individual a victim, and then it just everything falls apart at that point. I mean,
so that's bad. And like and people who dox, like H3 just put out his big thing on Keemstar today. It's going everywhere. It's going crazy. He's officially been caught doxing people. I mean, he's mocked the fact that he's gotten away with it before. Doxing people is never, ever, ever good. We've talked about it, how it is a horrible thing. You just don't do it to people. But the original thing here is that there's somebody who stands in front of a camera and says people should fear me. It's like, you're psychotic if you say that. First of all, if you say it and you mean it, which they did, there's been no attempt at like backpedaling it or saying no, it was a joke or it was part of entertainment. It's like no, people should fear me.
People should fear me, and the context was her saying, because I have power, and it does. There's been some legit concern about this, I feel, because there's I mean, if somebody's bragging about the power that they have and that people should fear them, is this really the kind of person that you want in power?
Yeah. And again, I mean, just to very, very lightly touch on, like, anybody can have any kind of lifestyle that they want, and if they're not hurting anybody, you go right ahead. I do not care.
Well, I agree,
like,
and I think
I do not.
We
care
need to take the
like,
focus off of the things that, like, we need to take the focus off of her personal characteristics in terms of things that people don't understand, things about her that people don't like, whatever.
Yeah, because it's
That distracts
it's
from the
just
main issue, which is the things that she has said, which are concerning. And that, if you conflate the two, this is why the ad hominem attack has been a logical fallacy forever. You don't have a good argument against what the person's saying, so you start to attack them personally. You start to say they're weird or dumb or bad or evil. And that
I wanna quote somebody who is probably like, so Asmongold is I think there's a reason why he's essentially like the number one new Twitch person. And I have never, like, whenever somebody starts like getting out of line and saying things, he bans them, and he will call them out in the chat. And so this guy does not have a hostile community. Like, you can't really say that. He has the Twitch community, and he said something here today, or it might have been yesterday on his stream. He's like, I want to talk about words, not people. And that's, I think, one of the greatest quotes I've ever heard from a Twitch person ever. I want to talk about words, not people. He wants to talk about the words of what was being said, not people and their styles and their personality type. I mean, I long to live in a world where we can stop targeting people and talking about people and diminishing people and being rude to people based off of them being them, their personality. Because I've been on the receiving side of that a lot. I mean, I have received vitriol hatred. I have received, personal attacks, physical attacks based off of just being who I happen to be. And it's really disgusting, and it's more than just, autism and that kind of stuff. It stems at other stuff, and it's been hell. I've talked about it. I don't like talking about it too much, but I've talked about, because of who I happen to marry, being in certain places in the world, which are never the places that you assume it to be based off of the news. We were treated horrendously. People spat in our food because we were unacceptable, and this kind of stuff is just weird and horrible, and I wish that we could focus on people's words instead of just people. And and it's this insanity that just kind of sits there, and now this has happened, and instead of being able to talk about the words, somebody's words, and holding them to account for that, there is one action that I find kind of weird. I kind of don't like on Twitch. Like, Twitch is supposed to be for like kids, right? Like, I would hope, other than strong language, that kids could show up on a stream and generally not, like, not click on things that are really bad and just things that you don't want your kids to see. And somebody having a big O is not something I kind of like to see when kids are. I think channels. I think you can definitely have, like, 18 plus or 15 plus streams where it's just
you're supposed to, like, you can
darker humor.
You can indicate your
that
channel
kind of
is for adults. Or
yeah,
not.
and I have absolutely nothing against body painters on Twitch. I can honestly tell you, I have not watched more than 5 minutes of any body painter on Twitch, but I don't hold it against them. There's a market for it. You go right ahead. Some of that body painting is some pretty artistic stuff. I have tried to paint on myself before. It usually ends up horribly. No, I haven't. I'm just joking. But I'm not I'm not a very good artist. I wish I was. I took 3 years of art lessons. Can't draw a circle for the life of me.
We gotta bring this back around because we're running low on time.
I know. It's like Twitch. Let Twitch be Twitch. But the one thing about her Twitch videos that people are passing around is that I do find it kind of creepy that it's not slated as like a mature, as far as I know, it's not rated as mature, and yet somebody's having an O on the screen, and it's like
Well, I have
don't
not
like
seen
that.
these clips in any at all. Well, I've not seen the clip you're talking about, but I mean, I agree. If there's adult content, yeah, label your stream as adult only. But yeah, this has nothing to do with what the normal content. Like the criticism has nothing to do with what the normal content of her stream is. It's about
It's about the words and about
things
attacking
that are being
people.
said, and yeah, like we don't know what kind of power these people actually have. You've got all kinds of
Probably
people
not
on this
much.
list, like from like long time Twitch streamers and like people with PhDs, people who work with worldwide organizations, all the way down to like complete randos who have been streaming for 5 years. Like the last one listed on this list is Zizaran, Twitch partner who's been streaming since 2015 and has opinions about stuff. Is basically like, so I don't know what their criteria was for letting people on or what kind of power they're actually going to have. You've got one guy who's like a professor of criminology also on this council. So there's, yeah, and then you have, you know, the ferociously Steph, the person who is you know, whose opinions we're talking about today, who has you know, I'm reading directly from Twitch's introducing the Twitch Safety Advisory Council page, and yeah, they talk about some of her characteristics and her fight for inclusivity, etc. But they specifically mention here vehemently opposing non-inclusive mechanics such as voice chat. Now, why do they highlight that? That seems very strange that they would highlight that particular opinion of hers. So Ferociously Steph considers voice chat in competitive gaming to be discriminatory or non-inclusive because of I think, I might be misunderstanding, but I think what it is that you know, women are more likely to be harassed or verbally attacked on these, you know, on these voice chat type deals, and therefore, you know, it's an uneven playing field. It's not inclusive. But her solution is she wants to ban voice chat. So anyway, it's a very bizarre thing.
There's one thing that I have to say about that. It's called a voice changer. You can get them. You can get really good ones that make you sound like anything you want
well,
to sound
you
like.
could, yeah. Like, I mean,
you can sound like a robot. You can sound like a child. You can sound like an adult. It's like legitimately you can do anything. There's programs out there where you can sound like famous people.
but here's I think the central point is like, yes, we need to, like, I can see why people would have some issues, and I won't go into some of the other stuff she said just because of time and other reasons. But like that particular view, I think it's reasonable for a debate to be had there when you're talking about banning a feature of games that's been around for a long time and that, you know, people use for team stuff. That's quite a an intrusive thing to say, okay, we're going to ban this feature of this game or of all games. Like, that's overreach. But we do need to keep it about the issue and not focus on this person's personal characteristics. You know, you start mocking them personally for the stuff they're doing on the stream.
It doesn't
or
win you anything. And
it actually it helps you lose real fast.
A big POS. You're a big POS if you target somebody based off of their characteristics instead of like focusing on the metal of their
and doxing someone just because you don't like what they're saying or what they're doing, that's disgusting. Now there's people that just do this for whatever reason. They think it's funny.
Like, doxing should be illegal, and whenever somebody doxes somebody, there should be a large, long investigation into who did that, and exposing the person who doxed it, and then that person should probably go to jail for a year or do hard labor or something. There should be some significant treatment for that. And if we did that, I think we would be very surprised at who a lot of these doxers turn out to be.
Is that not already illegal in some way, shape, or form to like share some of these
It's
personal
starting to
information?
get there. Like most platforms, it's like it's a bannable offense on most platforms. You can't bring criminal charges, and and in the few cases that you can, there's not an apparatus set up to track people down that do this. Like unfortunately, most there's more and more cyber divisions being built these days, but the average police building anywhere on the planet, the average one, you just average them all out, their ability to understand like current day tracking technology is next to zero. It's like, I've had friends who like had a camera or something stolen or like a laptop, and they went to the police and they're like, yeah, I know where it is because I have a tracking software. And the officer's like, well, we can't prove that it's yours. It's like, no, you can. See this? This is my receipt in which I bought it. Here's the marketing like number, the identification number on the camera, and here's where it is on the map. Well, sir, you're gonna have to submit that phone for evidence. Like I was told that once. It's like, hey, I have some evidence of a crime. Well, you're gonna have to submit the phone. Like, why can't I just email it to you? Well, the evidence is on the phone, and so therefore we have to have the entire phone as evidence. And I'm like looking at him like, you just don't want to deal with this, do you? Because this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard, that I have to turn
Well,
in my phone that has like I couldn't believe it. This wasn't very many years ago. This was
I
like
think that's the way it
48
works. Like I mean, when if there's illegal
Yeah.
material on a computer, they'll confiscate the whole computer. Like, or if there's evidence on the computer, they'll just take the computer. Like,
Well, no. This is me going to them saying, "Hey, I have."
no, I get
evidence
that. I
of
just
crime."
think that doesn't.
And
That's
they're
not
like,
surprising
"Well,
to
we
me.
want the whole thing." I was like, "Can I email it to you?" No, we need the whole thing. It's like,
Well, there might be some. Like, they can't just go show up at somebody's house and search for your stolen property if just based on something you emailed to them. I think there has to be some verification, but
no, you can. That's there's no legal, like, if you can prove that you have a receipt and that you have a legal tracking service that's like tracking it through an illegal thing, there's that is grounds for them to get a warrant and show up at the person's house and take
well,
the stuff back.
anyway, we're off in
We're
the
getting
weeds
off
now.
the tracks.
So anyway, yeah. So I guess
With
my
big friends, Robin Green with big friends.
with big friends, yes. There you go. So
That's funny.
anyway, I think the main point here is yes,
Yeah.
there's some stuff to be discussed here if you're concerned about the direction Twitch is going and what kind of power this advisory council has. But let's keep it on the level and keep the focus on the ideas and what's being said, not on attacking the people that are saying the ideas. Because not only is that completely illogical in terms of being a logical fallacy, it's also just it's just a
Notional
crappy
with the
thing to
late
do.
score. Just hire 2K to get it back.
Yeah, there you go. So anyway, yeah.
Alrighty.
All right, and finally, there's an update with Doom. So this isn't new, but there's some new slight updates about it. But if you're not aware already, the first major update to Doom Eternal came, and it came with an installation of Denuvo Anti-Cheat. Now, you've probably heard of Denuvo, the DRM software, which, its stated purpose is, of course, to prevent cracking and pirating of software, and it works about as well as a screen door on a battleship. Submarine. Sorry, I pulled the... Darn it, that
Screen
quote
door
from
on a
Back to the
submarine.
Future 2 just is stuck in my head, and I'm never going to say that thing properly ever again, I'm sure. Screen door on a submarine. Because in Back to the Future 2, young Biff says it's like a screen door on a battleship, but it's like, old Biff whacks him on the head. It's like, screen door on a submarine, you idiot. Anyway, my apologies. My older self is going to appear and whack me on the head with a cane now. So anyway, Denuvo Denuvo, the DRM software just is notorious for not really doing much to prevent piracy. The games get cracked within days, and then meanwhile it's it's allegedly, although we all know it's more than just an allegation, but those who defend it will say, oh, it allegedly causes performance issues, but we don't have any proof of that. Well, everyone knows this causes performance issues. And the same thing is happening with this Denuvo anti-cheat update. Tons and tons of performance issues are being reported, as well as it just being an incredibly invasive anti-cheat program that has access to very high level. Well, it has very high level access to your computer, basically. So I heard that this was coming, and I saw that my update for Doom Eternal was queued up, and I just uninstalled Doom Eternal, which is too bad, because I had not yet played the final stage, because I had 100%ed the other stages. I'd taken the time to do that before going past the point of no return and doing the final stage, so I guess I'm not going to be completing that game, which is really sad, because I was really enjoying it. But there's a lot of people there's reports of lots of people requesting refunds because of this, and it does seem pretty scummy for ID to be trying to slip this Denuvo program in an update. Now, I don't know, because I didn't do it myself.
I absolutely hate that. I absolutely hate that.
I didn't do it myself. I don't know if you get this window that pops up and says, do you allow Denuvo to be installed on your computer? I don't know if that happens, or if they just sort of slide it in there, or if they put really small text somewhere that says, "Oh, we're in maybe one of those."
As far as I know, if you just have it installed during the next update, it'll just install the program forcibly on your computer, and it's like, why are you doing this? Do you how much more do you want to hurt your image, Bethesda? Why did you do this? Why did you think this is okay? You want an anti-cheat? I mean, here's the thing. There's ways other than program watching to watch somebody, get an anti-cheat. There's things where you can capture their screen, and there's it tracks the firing and the targeting, and it's oh wow, cheater, gone.
Well, that sounds. Right? I mean, that sounds pretty invasive in other ways, though.
Well, not really if you're playing an online match, because that online match is that people can just join and watch your game. So that.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Like that kind of just viewing it from not something on their computer that's capturing the screen. Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah, no, it's if you're playing an online match against other people, there in most games there's already a room where people can sit and watch you. So why they don't have just sit a bot in each room and just track to see if somebody just got a super quadruple kill in 0.05 seconds, probably guarantee that that's a cheater. This is a cheater, obviously.
Right, so it comes down to some sort of statistical analysis, or this guy's making
but
impossible
also tracking,
shots over and over
also
again.
Tracking your shots and stuff like that. It's can non-cheaters make this happen? Answer, no. Right? And it's and I really hate cheaters in games. It's there's nothing worse than playing a game of capture the flag, and it's some guy floats in above the ceiling. He's there. You could see him walking through the skybox, teleporting every teleporting 15, 20 yards every second, just going bloop, 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 picks up the flag, bloop, 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 oh, just return the flag. It's how that's not just in that instance of there's a couple of games that had really well-known exploits and stuff. There was one match, very popular one, kind of everybody knows it if you were to say it, where they would have people playing the game, and it was 2 minutes before the round started. So like there's a lobby and there's 2 minutes. People were able to figure out how to get out of the lobby, go capture all the flags, and then wait there. And by the time the game started, about 10 seconds remained before one of the teams would just automatically win. And again, it's like, how do you not have the ability?
Yeah, it seems like
to see that you watched the game ended 20 seconds after it started with a 100% win for the one team, and one person captured all flags. Like, to me, that's just kind of like insta permaban that account and any account that's attached to that account.
It seems like there should be server side ways to detect some of this stuff. Yeah.
Yes, and why instead we end up going with this Denuvo stuff and this Valorant thing with its thing, where it's like, hey guys, we got to install this thing on your computer. First of all, it's going to use up like 5% of your resources at all times. Second of all, I mean, ignore the fact that it's, recording everything that you do, every application that you're running, and reporting it to us. We're never going to use that against you. You're never going to have somebody knock at your door and go, hey, we're representatives of this game company, and we see that you downloaded Thomas the Tank meets Esmeralda Princess in a steamy chat room episode number 5, and we're gonna have to take you in for some questioning on that. Yeah, that's never gonna happen. It's not like that happens in countries around the world where you can literally be put to death for making particular video games. Like this, like, come on, let's not be crazy here. It's like,
need the Kappa emote of like voice edition. Anyway, it does. It's particularly. I mean, it also runs even if you're just playing single player. Like, it's not like it just turns on when you're playing multiplayer. No, it's running consistently, regardless of if you're playing single player or multiplayer. Ali Mafuz asks, is it legal for companies like this to charge you full price for a product and then proceed to control how they see fit by changing the policy of ownership? Well, I don't know. I literally don't. Because I'm not, an expert legal mind, but I feel like it must be in some way, shape, or form. Should it be? I don't think so. But as far as whether it is or not, you'll have to ask someone who knows more about the law. By the way, and yes, Notional, I know it's id software, not ID software. The problem is it all goes back to my childhood when I was playing Wolfenstein 3D long before I knew id was a word. So, there you go. I knew ID, I didn't know id. Anyway, it is... There's a whole bunch of major problems with this. We just talked about Valorant and their software, their anti-cheat software that's incredibly invasive. There's reports of this Denuvo anti-cheat program being caught by antivirus programs as performing activities that are similar to malware, things like that. Like, it's getting absurd, how deeply they have to dig these things into your computer. Supposedly, this is the only way to prevent cheating. Well, find a better way. There's got to be a better way.
Well, I mean, and it really is I mean, again, you can cut off almost all cheaters, right? Almost instantly, just by having it. If they win the game under an unreasonable time. Like, you look at the best streamer that is one of the best people at the game, who wins the best, and he's streaming all the time. Anybody who beats his average score on a per session basis just instantly freeze their account. Because if that's the best that anybody can do, and they're essentially professionals on it, you can automatically assume that if somebody's doing twice as good as he is, that the person's most likely cheating. Like, probably, I would say that is definitely 100% a cheater, because there are very few people who can outbeat the actual professionals who actually play the game for 8 hours a day professionally and go on tournaments and tours and stuff like that. Like it's just automatically assume that everybody who's just comes in and is a god at the game, just automatically assume that if they're winning a capture the flag game in less than 30 seconds, that you can immediately kick them out, which will immediately put them into a position where, you can take that away. And good Lord, what is going on outside?
Some kind of, something's going down at Area 51.
If they're doing the combat drills again without me, are you doing the combat drills without me? Good Lord. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, it's one of these scenarios where it's like it's also like you just need to incentivize reporting. Like you need to incentivize reporting. If people are watching and they can see a hacker in the team and they can identify the hacker, and if multiple people do it, they get some kind of a return, and the more accurately they report something, the better they get within the confines of the game. But like, Lord, please don't make this into a social media thing. But, if they're doing this within the confines of a video game in a competitive arena or something like that, yes, please do that more. Like that is something that you should reward players at. It's the same thing with like botting, like, script sales and MMOs, like come check out our website at definitely not yourmmogame.com. It's like, it's always something just slightly off. Like, check it out right now. It's super awesome. You'll get some free gold, 1,000 gold for free. Just check the website now. It's like, here's what you do to end that overnight. Everybody who reports that person, and if that is an accurate report, they get some kind of like in-game currency thing. And the more that they do that, the more currency that they get. So if all they want to do is sit there on an evening and help report spammers, they can make as much as if they were grinding, for hours in the game. And then what happens is that right away, as soon as somebody starts showing up, you get all these reports in from people who have successfully reported before, and boom, it's gone. And you just do that. And you just incentivize reporting of cheaters.
As long as the company has the power, the manpower available to investigate these things and not just automatically issue permabans, then I would agree.
Yeah, because there are some systems that do work like this, and people have utilized this system to turn around and try and ban people that they don't like. And for that, I again, it's like there's ways to fix that properly. There's ways to work around that. But again, more and more of these companies are less interested in doing that, and they're just more interested in all of the nasty things that they do.
In any case,
please stop.
There's the way the program works, plus that it was trying to get slipped in with an update, plus the fact that it's running even if you're just playing the game single player, and causing performance issues. This is just bad all around. I don't know why they think this is a good idea. They think people are not going to notice. They think this is not going to be something that gets the game review bombed, and apparently a bunch of people requesting refunds as well. And really, honestly, if they try to change a product that you've purchased to that extent, even if you've been playing it for 30 hours, I think a refund is warranted. It's if the car company comes up to my house and is like, we've decided we're gonna change out this engine part on your car. Well, I don't want you to change out the engine part on my car. Well, this is what we've decided, and it's in your contract that we can do it. Well, okay, I want you to give me my money back on this car. You can't just change something that I bought. What if they came along and decided to just delete half the levels in the game and lock them behind the paid update? You shouldn't be able to do that. And if all of a sudden you have to install this invasive program on your computer in order to play this game, and you didn't agree to that up front, no, that shouldn't be allowed. That should they should be issuing refunds to anyone who asked for it, even if they've completed the game fully and played it for 60 hours. That's my opinion on it. I feel like Saib probably agrees.
Yep.
And with that, we're going to wrap up the show. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. Thank you for viewing and listening, either live or after the fact, for the great conversation in the chat. We appreciate it a lot. Don't forget to slam that like button before you leave. Really appreciate that. It helps us. It helps us with YouTube. It tells YouTube you appreciate this content. It helps other people find the content. Leave a comment below if you're listening after the fact. Subscribe, hit that notification bell, be alerted when we go live or release other content. We really appreciate that. Special thanks to our Patreon supporters and our channel members who help to make this content possible. Our big darn heroes on Patreon, Josh, Robin, Timebean, and our 2 anonymous supporters at that level. Channel members on YouTube, Mr. Paz Zernick, Jer Schultz, Game Notes, Night City Punk, and Terror K. If you're listening after the fact on SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify, or any of the other platforms that this podcast goes to, we appreciate your interactions there as well. And don't forget, you can join the live show on YouTube on Wednesdays and Saturdays, where you can interact with us and other listeners and be a part of the discussion. See the Discord server for exact times and schedules. The Augmented Reality podcast is a presentation of the Triple S League. Check out our YouTube channel for game guides, reviews, comedy, news updates, and tons more quality gaming content. My name is Ash. On behalf of Saib, thank you so much for listening. We'll talk to you again very soon.